Hey everyone, Alva here. So SIG just released a quick list of updates that are coming in the next patch, releasing July 4th. It's called the Excavation Update. A lot will be changing with this update, and I think a few of you will be shocked with some of the changes. However, I'm here to give my thoughts about what's incoming and hopefully dispel any fears. And hey, while I got you here, if you really enjoy Marauders content, please do hit that subscribe button and the like button. It would really help us out. Marauders is our main game that we play basically all the time, so if you like that content, maybe think about sticking around. So the biggest thing to be added this update will be the mining frigate. They've touched on this before, and I gave a quick rundown last time, but I'll do so again. It's a point of interest, it's only accessible via breaching, and will have better loot the further deeper you go. The top area is the entrance exit, and is very open and chaotic. This will show up near the colony cruiser, and again, it's a POI, point of interest, like a merchant ship or a capital ship. Not sure if it's only ever going to show up during the colony cruiser or if it will be other places, but they have said in the past that definitely near colony cruiser. The next thing would be the Warden. He is Penal Colony's boss, and so far the first true location boss Marauders is getting. You have to release this boss somehow, as SIG said. The prisoners locked away their captors in their revolt, but now it's time to release them. But beware, the Warden will not discriminate you from the prisoners that locked him away. From the trailer we got, it also looks like it's not just him either, but a little posse that maybe follows him around as well. He of course has his own cosmetics which can be unlocked. Now, I'm not sure if he'll be a guaranteed spawn or if he'll have a spawn rate like Tarkov bosses. I assume there will be a way to either see if he's around or maybe he'll just 100% always be at the penal colony. I have no clue. Now on to a little bad news. Sadly, this patch, the solo-only raids will not be coming. SIG said that it's still in development, of course, but it's just not ready yet. They want to focus more on the current matchmaking before making a major adjustment like the solo queues. It's a bit of a shame for some of you that have been asking for this for a long time now, but I understand why they're doing this. You know, matchmaking has been having some issues lately with wait times and other stuff, so I'm sure they're just wanting to make sure this is going to go as smooth as possible. Thankfully, it's still coming, though. It's not being canceled or canned or anything. It's still coming. We're just going to have to give it some time. SIG mentioned that they took a step back and realized that Marauders was leaning towards becoming a movement shooter, and that was never the intention of the game. It was always meant to be a hardcore game. They wanted to make some more changes to the combat to make it, quote, more tense and tactical rather than what it's become. Personally, I love this direction. I feel like a lot of things can change to make it a bit more slow in certain areas. Hell, I remember when jump shotting used to be a thing, and it felt really out of place for this game. I don't know everything that they're going to do, but there is a few things listed below we'll go over soon. Lastly, before those notes down below, SIG is moving into a new method of updating the game. Rather than the bi-monthly updates we've been getting, SIG wants to move to a schedule of a small update every other week, think bug fixes, maybe some new attachments or something like that, and a big one every 8 weeks. So again, we'll get on a small update every other week and a big update every 8 weeks. They said they want this to keep us engaged and to keep up the comms more often. I think this is great personally. The wait between updates has been a bit much in my honest opinion. We've waited a long time for some minor things to be changed, and their comms have been pretty quiet lately. Of course, if you're on Reddit, you'll know Met, but the whole player base isn't over there. I'm just glad to hear SIG is taking the community seriously. So, let's go over the notes that SIG laid out for us. Region Select is coming. They hope this will help with the queue times and just overall game experience. I like this change a lot. Most games feature this, and it's been a pain to not have one. This should also help with those horrendous queue times, by the way. 2 new airlocks for the colony cruiser are coming. The cruiser was a pretty hardcore place that a lot of people didn't like due to the absolute amount of bloodshed it had, but even I, as someone who really liked that aspect, knew the sewer area was just a bit too cramped and really hard to push out of, especially when people would just spawn behind you in your own airlock. SIG wants the cruiser to still be a hardcore PvP area, but these airlocks should help with people just coming in behind you randomly and help it feel a little less cramped down there. So, in a very controversial decision, warp gates, or extractions, will no longer spawn at the beginning of a match. They didn't mention how long into a raid until they would spawn, but they did confirm you could call them in raid locations. I know a lot of people are probably not going to like this just due to the fact that you can no longer cycle or reset out of raids as quick, but I think this is really necessary. Loads of people just leave the location as soon as it starts. I know it's due to hunting for 0 to hero quest locations, which we'll go over in a second, but it does seem goofy. Don't get me wrong, we've cycled out of plenty of raids many a times, but I think putting those stakes of no, you have to go into the raid, not just spawn and quit when you hit the play button, actually goes with the whole hardcore aspect of the game. Tarkov does this by having you spawn at one side of the map and forcing you to go to the other side to extract. The fear is that there are people who spawn on the side you need to extract on, and you'll likely run into them. It makes you commit to a raid and makes it all a little more tense. Marauders is forcing you to go into a raid location where other people will obviously likely be to call in a warp gate, which again makes it all a little more tense. And just to clarify, you don't have to call in the warp gates at the end of the match or whatever. They still do spawn, but just not immediately when you start. Now, I also understand that Tarkov lets you pick the map you're going into, so it makes quest items or locations a guaranteed spawn, but that's why I'm here to tell you about the new Zero to Hero changes. Zero to Hero quests seem to have undergone a huge overhaul. Many missions will no longer require specific raids or context-sensitive tasks, i.e., commando major kills will no longer be required. I think this is to help with those really RNG heavy nights, which trust me, we've had a ton of, and it really sucks the fun out of all of it if all you want to do is quest that night. So if I'm reading this right, we're going to have less context specific things, right? So Commando Majors is a perfect example. I'm wondering about like flamethrower stuff. Is the flamethrower quest still going to be there? Is it going to be just weapon types? You know, we're going to have to wait and see, but overall, I think that's really, really going to help out. And so pairing this with the warp gate changes, I truly do think it's going to make the game better and more engaging. I personally know people who got stuck on one RNG related quest or something and just gave up the game after trying a few nights. You can call them quitters, but that's not really helping people stick around in the game. With what we've seen the last few days with other shooters in this vein, SIG is trying to keep people engaged, and I think this will truly help. I mean, to be honest with you, out of all the core people I play with, and we've played a decent amount of Marauders, I am the only one to have ever completed Zero to Hero. And to be honest, I never wanted to do it again. And I'm really hoping this changes things, because it's really fun. It's just starts to suck after a while. So let's cover the last few things. They're bringing back single raid locations, kind of like it was when the game first came out. This won't always be the case, but they'll be in the pool again. They, of course, still have high chances for their smaller locations to spawn like the merchant ship. Aiming down sights or ADSing, the movement will be getting a rework. Aiming and walking will be hampered depending on the weapon you're carrying. This feeds back into making the game less like a movement shooter, so I'm assuming SMG, you can still move pretty quick. You know, MG42, you're going to move pretty slow. Which is something I totally agree with, by the way. I think I've always said that there needs to be, maybe not a weight system, but some sort of system like, okay, this armor and this gun takes away from how fast you can move. So vaults are getting buffed, thank God. I talked last time about how this nerf was a bit much, so I'm glad to see it's getting some good loot again. New healing system, and in brackets it said more hardcore. No idea what exactly that entails, but I'm all for it. It is a little too easy to just tank bullets and heal right now. I mean, you've seen the Twitch meta on this, right? Along with healing, they're introducing bleeding, which is pretty self-explanatory, and healing replication, which is where you can hear people healing. Again, this adds more tactics into the mix. Oh, he's healing, I can push. No, if I start healing, he's going to hear me, yada, yada, yada. The SPP-1 dart pistol, MAS-42 assault rifle, Thompson special with an integrated suppressor, and 15 plus new weapon attachments will be coming. More unique actors, puzzles, and secret locations will be added, as will that sweet slot machine, which will be in the spaceport bar. You can use silver coins and chance them to turn them into gold. And I think that's about it. My main takeaways from this are all really good. I'm glad to see more of the core gameplay things really get addressed in this patch, and SIG really start to hone in on some things we really didn't like since basically the start of early access. Warp gate changes and movement changes are a great start to really rounding out a Marauders raid. Of course, it's early access, so if it sucks, we've got plenty of time to tell SIG, and as we know, SIG listens. Zero to Hero changes will really shake things up as well, and really keep people invested for the long haul, I think. These missions sound like they're going to be fun again, rather than just a grind fest even a Tarkov player would hate. Per usual, we're looking forward to it greatly. Thanks to SIG for always taking in our feedback, as well as working to make the game better each update. Appreciate you guys' time, and we'll see you next time.